Dentist friends, listen up. You could be potentially losing millions of dollars in your practice unknowingly and unnecessarily. In this video, I'll show you where the leaks in your boat or the leaks in your practice, so to speak, occur and how stopping those leaks can have a dramatic impact on your financial future. Hi, I'm Matt Kennedy, the founder of Kennedy Wealth Design and the author of the best-selling book, Untapped Wealth. I work with dentists helping them have a better life, a better business, and a brighter future. Please subscribe to my channel and make sure you click on that notification bell so that you'll be notified when I post new videos. One of the ways that our practice can have a dramatic impact on a dentist's life is helping them stop what we call wealth transfers. Now, what is a wealth transfer? It's very simple. It's simply when you transfer money from your balance sheet to someone else's balance sheet. The reason focusing on stopping wealth transfers is so important is because whenever I lose a dollar or I transfer it from my balance sheet to someone else's balance sheet, I not only lose that dollar, I lose the ability to earn interest on that dollar. And that interest can really add up, that lost interest, I should say. So in a dental practice, there's several simple, easy to see wealth transfers, and I'll just cover a few here for us. The first and really kind of low-hanging fruit are supply costs. Now, this is not including your outside labs, but let's say we have a $1.8 million practice. Practice is collecting that $1.8 million in collections, or $150,000 a month. And it's not uncommon for me to see them spending 10% per year on the supply cost. That's $180,000 a year. Well, if working together and working with some different vendors, maybe we can drop that supply cost. Again, I very commonly see that supply cost getting dropped down to 4%. Now that's $72,000 a year that we're spending in supply costs for a difference of $108,000 per year. Now, if we took that $108,000 and we invested it in an account earning 5% over 20 years, that savings, that difference in supply cost would grow to $3.7 million. That if we didn't make this move, that would become a wealth transfer. It would transfer from our pocket to the dental supply company's pocket, to Patterson's pocket, or to Shine's pocket. That's $3.7 million in a wealth transfer. Let's look at some more simple, easy to see wealth transfers. Taxes. I had a client who, at my urging, received a second opinion on his taxes. Now, listen, CPAs and accountants, they really have a hard job. You know, the tax code is something like 7,000 pages long, and assuming that just because this person has done taxes and accounting for several years, that they know those entire 7,000 pages is short-sighted. So at my urging, this doctor got a second opinion on his taxes, and working with a different CPA and tax professional, he was able to find $100,000 a year in tax savings. And so again, that $100,000 at 5% over 20 years would grow to $3.4 million. Had he not gotten the second opinion, that money would have transferred. $3.4 million would have transferred from who? From the doctor to who? To the IRS, to the US government. So add those two numbers together, and we're close to $7 million, a little over $7 million in wealth transfer. So imagine this, you're 45 years old. Would depositing a $7,000 check into your retirement, knowing that you would have an extra $7 million sitting in a retirement account at age 65, would that change how you feel today about your future? Equipment financing. Now, a lot of folks think equipment financing is a wealth transfer. We see that because we pay interest on that money, but I see it a little differently. Most doctors that I see are trying to accelerate their payments and get rid of that debt as fast as possible. But accelerated payments, I have learned, really equal massive wealth transfers. Let's look at an example. Let's say you want to buy a new cone beam for $100,000. Option one, you look into some financing and you can get it at 7% for 5 years. That's $1,981 a month. So the total interest paid after 5 years is $18,807. Now, option two, maybe I might say, hey, let's use your building as collateral and borrow $100,000 against it at 5.5% for 20 years. That payment would be $687 a month, and the total interest paid after 20 years would be $65,093. So why would you ever take option two? You're going to pay $65,000 in interest versus $18,000 in interest. Well, if you take the difference in the payment, the difference between that 5-year payment and the 20-year payment, which is $1,294 a month, and you put that somewhere earning 5% over that 20 years, it grows to $531,878. So you've earned $221,000 in interest, and you've paid $65,093 in interest. That's a $156,225 wealth transfer if you choose option one over option two. A lot of times I ask a doctor, hey, why are you accelerating those payments, or what for? And they'll say, because I don't like paying interest. And I'll say, great, you don't like earning interest either. If you had that $156,000 sitting in an account from age 65 to age 85, meaning an additional 20 years, that 156 would grow to $423,000. Added to our wealth transfers that we found earlier, that's over $8 million in wealth transfers. Simple, easy to see wealth transfers that we can stop and bring back so that your financial future is a sound and exciting one. Finally, let's look at one more complex, not so easy to see wealth transfer. And I like to call this unrealized potential of your practice. Let me show you what I mean. Per a 2015 survey conducted by Northwestern University, 85% of patients with jobs, which is very important because that's the patient that we want. They either have dental insurance or they can afford to pay. They prefer to have their teeth cleaned, or they prefer to have their cleanings, their prophies during prime time hours. We found that those prime time hours are before work, after work, or weekends. Now, they said they would come back for restorative care. They would miss work for that, but they would love to have their hygiene visits before work, after work, or weekends. Now, Kennedy Wealth Design, we consider prime time hours to be before 9 a.m. and after 5 p.m. and any weekend hours. So let me show you the potential that is possibly in your practice. Now, a lot of practices that I see over here on the left-hand side, their hours, they're open from 8 in the morning till 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday. So they're really only hitting one prime time hour. That's that 8 to 9 o'clock hour. Their potential hours that they could be open are possibly from 7 in the morning till 7 at night, Monday through Thursday, and then add Friday and Saturday. A lot of doctors' offices, a lot of dentists are off on Saturday, and I totally understand all of the reasons why, but that practice is still sitting there. And so you have these empty chairs, and you could be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. So what our model shows us here is that there are 28 potential prime time hours that you could add to your schedule. Now, why is this important? And this is really key. This is what drives production in a practice. Let's assume that we could get 2 patients per hour through hygiene visits. Maybe you had 2 of your chairs running hygiene visits, 2 patients per hour in those added hours. And then let's assume in your practice that you can get, let's say, maybe $100 in revenue from the hygiene revenue. But then here's what's key. How much revenue on average does that hygiene visit represent? And this is a very simple equation. It's simply your total production divided by your number of hygiene visits. And so across 1,600 practices around the country, the average revenue per patient or revenue per hygiene visit, I say it more succinctly, the average production per hygiene visit, per prophy, is $640. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that when you, good doctor, get to go in and do an exam to find out what's happening inside the patient's mouth, you find on average $640 of restorative care. Now, it doesn't always work that way. It doesn't mean every patient is going to do $640 worth of restorative work. But what it means is that 9 out of 10 patients, you find nothing that needs to be done. And then that 10th patient, you find $6,400 worth of restorative care that needs to occur. So divided out over those 10 patients, it's $640 per patient. Now, notice here on our input screen, we've done some calculations automatically in our model. If we have 28 potential primetime hours per week that we found in the practice schedule, that's 112 per month here. If we did 2 patients per hour, if we were able to just add 2 cleanings, 2 hygiene visits per hour, that's 224 additional hygiene visits per month. How do we grow a practice? From my experience, it's adding hygiene visits. What does that do for our revenue? Just from potential hygiene revenue, that's the $100 fee that we put in there. That's an additional $5,600 per week, $22,000 per month, $268,000 per year. But the real money, the real production is in the restorative care found in the exams. The potential added revenue per month is $143,000 or $1.7 million per year. Add those 2 numbers together, the potential restorative care from per hygiene visit plus the hygiene revenue. That's almost $2 million, $1.9 million in potential revenue sitting in unused hours in your practice. If you want to grow, add hygiene. There are many areas of wealth transfer in a dental practice and in our doctor's personal financial life. These are just a few I wanted you to see. And just out of those few, we potentially found millions and millions of dollars. If you're interested in having a 15-minute conversation to really explore whether or not you're a good fit for us in our process, and if we're a good fit for you in your process, please click on the Show More tab down below and schedule that 15-minute call right now. Like we said, there's potentially $2 to $5 million you might be losing unknowingly and unnecessarily. Listen, we're very committed to putting out really important, helpful information. So I hope you'll subscribe to the channel and click on that notification bell so that you'll be notified when we post new videos. We hope you have a better life, a better business, and a bigger future.